This is continuation of a series about respraying this working vehicle, which is Volkswagen Crafter, and I'm about to take off the front wing. And before I go to do that, I want to show you how much dirt sits in this very pocket. It is unbelievable to even think that engineers can come up with such a stupid design that will allow and permit this dirt to sit there and gather in there, holding moisture and allowing all surrounding material to rot. As you can see, the wing is already on the floor, and when it opens up, you can actually see a little better. All behind the wing is just primed, and there is no other coatings on it, so it's fairly thin. Again, if I zoom in, you will see a little better extent of how badly designed and how much of an effect it has with the rusty surfaces because of the moisture trapped due to all of this dirt sitting in that pocket that I show you already. And there is no way of it. All you needed to do is to have a hole in that wall, and you would have all problems eliminated with the water just running out. There is a screw holding that wing to the body. Unfortunately, it's fairly rusted, corroded, and I couldn't take it apart, so I had to grind it out. And as you can see, left was a little hole. But at the moment, it doesn't really worry me because I do want to have some sort of hole in there to allow water to drain through, and I will put additional hole in later on. This is a dirt mark, and that's how much water was sitting in there physically, because the dirt would keep moisture in it the moment you drive through a puddle or anything wet. This is the bottom of a wing with a new hole that I mentioned to you I'm going to make. So basically made that drain hole for the future so the water can drain in, and I also wanted to have some fiberglass, something heavy in that sort of area, so if there is any dirt sitting on it, it will not penetrate to metal that easily. So both wings get pretty much same treatment, and also on the inside, on the lip, the same way as I done for rear arches, wheel arches. This is a fiberglass being put onto the lip of the front arches, and this way again, if there is any dirt goes in there, it will not stick right in that very particular place, and it will not hold the moisture, because they are the first areas that start to rust in any vehicle. If you see anything rusty, it's always wheel arches and so on. So considering it's all been shot blasted and coated with the zinc and sealed with the primer over the top of it, once it's dried up, I'm putting this fiberglass resin on it. I really hope for good results and fairly long-lasting project. Obviously, again, it's been sealed up over top of that with another coat of sealing primer, and again, just build up a couple of coats to seal it properly. Make sure there is no pinholes or anything like this that will go through, and also give a little coat for fuel tank cover. Lots of small little bits and pieces that needs to be painted and needs to be kept on the truck. Two different colors, as both of them are still Gravitex anti-chip solution. It's just sprayed from different guns. So the white color sprayed from a 2mm nozzle from a spray gun, and the black part sprayed from the actual gun that was supplied for applying Gravitex. On this part, you'll see that the rear end just been shot blasted, and you can see how matte finish is from in actual fact, it's a clean steel that has been shot blasted. There is no coating on it or anything like this at the moment, and it's ready pretty much for galvanizing in the. There you have it. Here's a video of bonnet getting shot blasted, and in a minute you will see the difference between blasted and not blasted surface of a clean metal. And as you can see, on the right hand side it's been shot blasted, on the left hand side it hasn't been shot blasted. So on the shot blasted surface, because it's kind of very matte color, matte textured, it's the paint sticks to it really well. Already mentioned, I used the Zinga galvanizing complex, and as you can see, it's very clear. It's not really a paint. The solution is very clear, but inside on the bottom of it, you will see lots of zinc, and when you start mixing, you will see it mixes clear, and then all of a sudden it starts to pick up a color, and the whole mix starts mixing. And for that, because they developed this product like this, they're actually giving a warranty that it will never gonna go out of date. It will lie on your shelf for the next 40 years if you need to, and you can pick up and use it any day afterwards. It is really expensive. I paid £96 for 5 kilos, and that's pretty much how much of it in a 5-liter drum. It's not really that much different. Because zinc is heavy, they're actually selling it on the weights rather than on the liters. But I think it's quite good product. I quite liked it. You know, when I start spraying, I think it is a good product. It's the first experience I ever had with it, but so far I really like it. And considering that by the time you buy the product and by the time you ship it and pay for shipping fees, it actually becomes quite expensive. Bonnet painted and sealed with zinc and sealed with a primer over top of that. Couple of coats of primer just to make sure it's all sealed up really nicely. And again, the black color you see Gravitex, and I'm just using high build primer to spray it over the top of it. And this Gravitex anti-chip solution protection will actually be covered underneath the color of the van, as you will see later on in this video as well. Yeah, and just basically at this stage I was doing lots of painting and lots of sanding. As you can see here, the area where Gravitex meets high build primer, and I basically sanded down, if I can learn how to focus, sand it down a little bit. And as a final product, you can't really see the transition because I kind of designed to have that transition on a sharp edge, so it blended in nicely, really nicely. You can't see a difference because of a surface area on the van like this. What I resulted to using a tool that normally used for sanding, like big walls and stuff like this. You know, joiners using it and people who work with plastiboard. But it kind of worked out nicely for me because, you know, if you had to do everything manual with a 1 meter block or whatever, you would be very tired, and there is just far too much work in such a big surface area. But this tool came handy. As you can see, there was lots of painting, and I wish I could go as quick as it shows in the video, but it was lots of labor involved. Darker area are the areas that I use to spray with the zinc containing primer, because I sanded through to bare metal, so I had to do little spot repairs. And once I done that, I'm gonna put layers of sealing primer just now over the top of all of that work that I've done, so everything's gonna be sealed from any sort of moisture or elements that may come through the paint, if I miss anything in the future. So basically a sealing primer. Again, if you interested to know what sort of sealing primer I used, you can see it in the previous videos. This is a little pocket underneath a driver's door, but just silly design again. Because of a really bad seal, all of that area just gets wet. The same thing goes for stuff around the windows. When the window been replaced, people who were cutting it out with a knife, they just scraped a whole lot, and it kind of resulted into, you know, such a pitting corrosion that you get when the water sits in the cavity so took it out again, took off all paint, and all black dots that you see are the damages that were sitting underneath the paint. So all of this will be sandblasted, shot blasted again, and once it's shot blasted, I'll be able to do the same thing, put zinc over it, and then do sealers and all sorts of primers, just like normal process what you've seen me doing in all previous videos when I was spraying this van. Yeah, and as you can see, again, I bought Gravitex in different colors, so when I spray different layers, I can visually see when if I missed any parts or anything like this. So I put quite a lot of Gravitex, and then once the Gravitex was put on, primer sealed it, and the high build primer on top of that as well, stuck a window back in and start painting the color. And that's a bit of a change from white to this sort of color, but I thought it would be a good change because the white color get constantly covered up with the welding, so with grinding dust, and it all looks odd. At least I was thinking for a welding company who, no, the white one is not the best of choice, so I opted for this color. So if there is any sort of rust and other things that are going to be dust from a dust on the surface of the paint, you will not be able to see it that much. But actually, after it's all been finished, I actually quite like the color choice, and I think it looks alright. Now, maybe this video to some extent is quite repetitive, or you know, to some people may look a little bit boring, but what you need to bear in mind, it is my very first paint job, and the whole purpose of the videos is to share with other people, because it's pretty much how I learn to do anything that you will see in this video. I've watched and researched tons of other videos from tons of other people, and eventually kind of brave up to do the whole job on my own. And I think I've done alright for a first paint job so far. So if you want to do some sort, if you have a project that you want to do as well, it's all doable. Just you need to work on it, and hopefully this video will be at least some sort of helpful for whatever you're doing, guys. It kind of looks nice to see the changes in the color, and once you start put more layers and becomes darker. Obviously, because I had absolutely no experience with any of this painting stuff, but I had great help, because the guy next door to me, he's got a garage, and he do resprays for cars and stuff like this. So he would come along and he would talk to me and explain what would be the best thing to do, and that actually helped me quite a lot. And when it came time to paint with the clear, he actually came along and he sprayed the clear over top of it, just leaving me with some small areas to paint, like doors and a couple of sides on the body. But overall, you can see the van changes color quite dramatically the moment you start putting more paint on it. I have to say that even when I finished, there was still some lighter patches, and I think one more coat would do better to hide all of these things, because I didn't realize how little this paint actually hides as you spray it. Here you see how much deeper color starts to look the moment we start putting the clear coat on it. There is lots of fine particles flying from clear coat, but you can see it kind of gives the depth and deeper sort of tone to the color that was laid out originally. My workshop is really bright, however it still feels like it will be a lot better with much better lighting around it, so you can actually see, because there were a couple of places where we missed a little bit, but overall it's actually come out quite alright. I really like this particular color. Unfortunately, when the same color is underneath the sunlight, it looks totally different. You can see that even when I'm spraying during the day with the lights on, it still gets kind of a darkish color, and I really like the saturated brownish, more darker tone to it. Unfortunately, once the van goes on the sun, it starts to appear a little bit more reddish color. It's still alright, but it's not something I was really expecting. So you'll see the van in here at the moment, so you can see there is a little bit of a red tint to it.